Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome back to another Destiny 2 Exotic Revival video. In this video we're going to be going over a select 3 exotics from Destiny 1 and how they could now return to Destiny 2 since the return of Red Death and the increased expansion of mechanics could, improve their chances to return to Destiny 2. Granted, they don't keep adding new ones instead of reforming old ones. That being said, we're going to keep with the usual pace of starting with a primary, special, and a heavy until they run out. That being said, though, I did go to a Slipknot concert last Friday night, which is why there was no Zerv video. But on that note, if I do it all sound a bit hoarse compared to normal, it was a Slipknot concert, so I shouldn't have to tell you why my voice will be a little bit shredded. On that note, going into the primary weapons, I'm going to be talking about a primary scout rifle that I feel like many people have forgotten about, and that is the Boolean Gemini. This initially released with the Taken King, and it was kind of introduced almost as like Risk Runner and, if I recall, Arbalest were in Destiny 2, how it was a good starter exotic. This one was a quest I don't remember being at all hard, but its perks were inherently simple in its design, because aside from being a scout rifle and of course having a few customizable stats from high cal or farther range, less recoil, it did come with an unflinching, which of course does exist nowadays, but in that same respect, its 2 perks, which was choosable akin to the Queensbreaker bow, it had one way, which was literally precision hits would boost your, or precision kills specifically, would boost your agility, or the other perk, or another, which would be non-precision kills would boost your armor. Which to that respect, that could actually work out pretty well for the Crucible crowd nowadays, especially since that the inherent use of stats, mobility, and resistance is so keen to the Crucible side of things nowadays, considering almost every time I hear a Crucible review of a gun, they say this gun can kill in 2 taps with at least this amount of resilience guardians. Every time I hear that, I think, well, another way to boost the resilience would certainly benefit against that, and Boolean Gemini could be that thing. Granted, its perk could be just selecting, where precision kills could grant agility or precision kills could grant resilience, because at that point, as with the Jade Rabbit, a lot of people don't really like going for body shots to activate a crit hit if it means that there's a chance that they have to, aim in the odd spot. In the random chance, it might help, but at the same time, its issues might stem from the fact that you have to pick one or the other, as I know a lot of the Crucible crowd would like it, considering with the existence of, I forget the perk name, but it was essentially the one where you get headshots, you get boosted range, you get body shots, you get boosted stability. That simple legendary perk in the game now, they would probably prefer the combination of them both, so headshots would grant mobility and body shots would grant resilience. On that same note, I'm not exactly sure on how it could be improved farther, because it was an inherently simple exotic. It was a basic vertical frame scout rifle, if I can recall off of memory, and from there, it would need something a little bit extra, even if it was a simple odd version of maybe, let's say, attrition orbs. Considering as Boolean Gemini was introduced, it seemed almost kind of akin to Traveler's Chosen, where it was just a gun that Guardians had that was meant for Guardians regardless of how it came to be. It was something about the theme that definitely made it seem so. But Boolean Gemini I could definitely see making a return, if not just for the Crucible crowd. In PvE, it could have its uses, but its armor increase would need to be something iconic to make it worth it in the endgame if it were to appear. Then again, that is the big if. Moving into the special weapons category, I wanted to talk about one that I think many people forgot, considering it was a PlayStation exclusive come Taken King era, the Zen Meteor. This was a Hake aggressive frame exotic sniper that was manufactured by Taiko 3. If you don't remember her, play Savathun's song back in early Destiny 2. That was that Taiko. She made this sniper rifle. From that respect, basically its perk was not too far off from what Sunshot was. Its intrinsic explosive rounds was given to it, and rapid kills with every single round in the mag would load an extra higher damage round for 5 seconds, which just does sound quite similar, as obviously there has been a variety of exotics recently that have, taken this idea into account. Think Still Hunt, rapid precision hits, charge golden gun mode, high damage mode. To that respect, it had Underdog for the lower health boosting range and handling, which is a simple perk. I think that didn't make the cut to Destiny 2, but it is still a simple perk nonetheless. Then we have the With a Laser Beam perk on Zen Meteor, forgot its name somehow, where the extra round from dynamite causes a massive explosion. Think an ignition size explosion versus explosive round sized. Now, It is an inherently simple perk, and it kind of stems from what I talked about from hereafter. It is a perk that requires a kill with every round in the mag to proc. That is unfortunately not going to exactly last in a Destiny 2 biosphere, just because even still, there is the perfectionists out there who will try, but in things like GMs, oftentimes something would live through one shot. So it's kind of hard to get that unless you aim for the lower adds and then prioritize high-value targets. To that respect, though, and when you're at a GM, everything is on the table. You don't really prioritize. You just try to clear the field or shut it down as much as possible. That being said, unfortunately, with the introduction of something like Still Hunt, I think another solar high-damage sniper rifle would be a little bit hit or miss right now, just because Still Hunt, again, has been so iconic recently. It's hard to vouch for something that is basically Still Hunt, but explosive rounds, which personally, I think Still Hunt might have intrinsic explosive rounds. I sometimes forget. It just seems to hit that hard. But regardless, it does have a pretty unique perk, which in the sphere of Destiny 2, I could see having a hierarchy of needs style. Insert how many crits here to get a larger explosion, or something similar to like I talked about with Abaddon, where instead of that, it has a Firefly that is an ignition, but procs every 5 seconds or so, with inherent explosive rounds that, you know, they figure out how to make it so that precision kills with explosive rounds, you know, don't awkwardly trigger ignitions. Because you know how explosive rounds split between the direct and the splash. We would need the direct to be the kill and actually count to trigger it, but I digress. Zen Meteor I could see returning, both because of the existence of Hawkeye still, aggressive frame snipers, and not to mention we are a bit short on exotic snipers. I know Still Hunt, again, iconic, but when I actually did the count, exotic snipers have the lowest total amount of exotic types than next to glaives. Glaives are the only thing that has the lowest count, and that's only just because it was introduced 2 years ago in Destiny, and via the variety, it wouldn't have that many. We're lucky it even has more than 3, considering there's the class swords. There's 5 in total, if I remember the exact count. The exotic snipers, if I remember, there's only 6 actually talking about it. There's more exotic sidearms than exotic snipers. To that respect, could we use Zen Meteor? I think so. It could be a nifty perk, if not a fun one. Again, it might be more for the Crucible crowd, although an extra high damage ignition round would actually sound quite spicy for the Destiny 2 PvE game. That being said, I'm going to move into the heavy, and keeping with the theme of spicy, I'm going to talk about the original overhead slam sword in Young Wolf's Howl. Yes, this was the sword that came with us for the Rise of Iron campaign and was rewarded upon completion of the Rise of Iron campaign. Now, it was an inherently basic sword, as all the original exotic swords had, you know, the bolt caster for throwing projectiles, dark drinker for the swirl, and the raise lighter for the uppercut. This one was a overhead slam that would create a solar kind of eruption on the point of attack, of course. Now, that being said, it kind of just was that. It did give the sword a pretty nifty attack, but from that point, in this biosphere, we have the Destiny 2 Titan Sword, which is pretty much going to be the main overhead slam, and with the Ergo Sum inherently getting the aggressive slam, this one I don't really see exceeding if they keep it 1-to-1. Now granted, this is the Young Wolf's Howl, so it could be a very potent sword, it could be a Dragon's Breath style lingering pool of flames, although at the same time, it would have to be something that's quite potent, because again, Dragon's Breath is quite powerful, and you can shoot ignitions and fields of fire from a distance. Young Wolf's Howl would have to be something quite spectacular for everyone that isn't a Titan without strongholds, because in that respect, again, it is a sword. Exotic swords have kind of been lacking in the general use department. The only good places to use are bosses when there's no good close quarters counterparts, aside from maybe Acrius, but from that same respect, it would have to be something quite potent. Who knows, maybe it could have a solar version of Weakening, bringing back Melting Point on it to provide an extra damage buff, or maybe just a Fire Rises buff that then again it would feel to how do I say this, copy paste with Wolfpack rounds and Ergo Sum. But from that same respect, do I think it has a chance? Maybe, as we have seen a brand new frame with Ergo Sum and the Raid Sword from Salvation's Edge. There's always a chance that we get a new frame sometime soon. The main problem I see though is whether or not it will have something unique or it will have to be completely reworked. From that same respect, though, that is, I think, the theme for this episode. A lot of them are similar. Boolean Gemini is the only one that I can think could return 1-for-1 and be okay in one part of the game. However, the Zen Meteor and the I already forgot his name somehow. Young Will's Howl are both something that I could see working. The problem is they would have too much competition, so they would likely need a big rework on top of everything else they got. But from that point, that is the end of this video. And once again, that was me covering the Boolean Gemini, the Zen Meteor, and the Young Will's Howl. And I will be making my way through the rest of the Destiny 2, or Destiny 1 exotic lists that haven't made the jump to Destiny 2. And as I knock them all out, once I run out of a category, I will just add another weapon from a different category. Because again, there's far more special weapons that haven't returned to Destiny 2 than there is any other category. And I'm sure you can guess why, thinking about 2 weapons, specifically a shotgun and a sniper rifle. That being said, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I will see you in the next video.